We have long viewed sleep as the ultimate healing mechanism for the human body, a universal reset button that repairs cellular damage and restores energy. But at age 50, a critical biological turning point occurs, and the rule that more sleep equals better health begins to aggressively break down. Routinely extending sleep duration past the 9-hour mark transitions from a restorative habit into a clear biological warning sign. This raises a critical question. Why does crossing this specific temporal line correlate with a cascade of severe health failures? For older adults, what we assume to be a medicine often presents itself as a potential threat. To understand why, we have to look closely at the physical data. Mapping the data reveals 3 major physiological zones of damage that heavily correlate with excessive dormancy. The first is cardiovascular. Studies link long sleep duration directly with an increased risk of coronary artery disease and heart failure. The second zone is metabolic disruption. This visualization tracks a timeline of sleep exceeding 9 hours against a declining curve representing glucose metabolism efficiency. As excessive sleep negatively affects glucose metabolism, the body develops insulin resistance, leaving sugar accumulating in the blood. Combine this with the loss of physical activity and hormonal shifts from staying in bed, and the result is obesity and metabolic syndrome. The third zone of damage is neurological. For those susceptible, spending prolonged time in bed acts as a direct trigger for chronic tension-type headaches and severe migraines. The broader neurological correlations are even more alarming. Sleeping more than 9 hours a day is tied to severe mental fatigue, clinical depression, and an increased risk of cognitive decline, including dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Looking purely at this surface data, logic suggests we must aggressively force ourselves out of bed to avoid these lethal outcomes. But zooming out to reevaluate the wider epidemiological data reveals a critical error in that logic. We are likely confusing correlation with causation. Excessive sleep functions as a biological crime scene, the visible wreckage of an underlying health crisis already in progress. This chart illustrates how the causality actually reverses direction. Oversleeping is a secondary symptom, the body's involuntary response to fighting an unseen war. The true culprits draining the body's energy and forcing the extended dormancy are often undetected conditions, like sleep apnea, thyroid disorders, and underlying heart disease. Even psychological factors like clinical depression manifest physically, creating a biological need for excess rest to cope with the mental fatigue. Rather than the extra hours in bed generating the disease itself demands the extra rest. This perspective transforms the bedroom into a primary diagnostic environment for the aging body. Sudden, unexplained exhaustion past the age of 50 acts as a biological check engine light. It is the body's most effective method of signaling an internal system failure. Avoid the temptation to cure oversleeping by simply setting a louder alarm clock or forcing yourself into rigorous physical activity. Recognizing a pattern of sleeping 9 or more hours requires an immediate medical consultation to run diagnostics on hidden cardiovascular, thyroid, or respiratory conditions. Thriving past 50 requires listening to your body when it asks for rest, while investigating why it refuses to wake up.